So, hi everyone, and welcome to this live event where we will discuss how Spayr manage multiple environments running on Kubernetes cluster on Qovery. So today, as you can see, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Pierre on
Hi
this side.
everyone.
So Pierre is CTO and co-founder of Spayr. And while we will all be able to see your comments and answer to them, there might be a slight delays of like 1 second. So before we see it, before we see it on the chat, but don't hesitate to ask any question you have on the chat, and we will answer to them as soon as we see them, obviously. So I'm gonna wait maybe like a few minutes before getting to the interesting stuff. But before getting started, I'm just gonna introduce myself quickly. So my name is Albane, and I joined Qovery about a year ago now. First as a product owner and now as a product marketing manager. And if you don't know yet what Qovery is, well, Qovery allows dev team to deploy on-demand environment on AWS in just a few seconds, whether it's your production, staging, dev, or even preview environment. And deploying full stack environment on AWS has never been easier. So let me share a little bit what's on the agenda today. That's not the right slide. So on the agenda today, we will first have an introduction of Pierre and Spayr. And then this will be followed by how Spayr manage multiple environments on Kubernetes with Qovery. Then we will take a look at Spayr setup, and we will finish with a word from Pierre and what's next for Spayr. And then we will have some minutes left, hopefully, for some Q&A. So I can see Morgan on the chat. Hi, how are you? Very happy to have you here. But yeah, enough about me and enough about Qovery, because that's not today's topic. Well, it is a bit, but not completely. So let me give the speech to Pierre. So we are super happy to have you today, and I will let you the stage to shine and to introduce yourself and talk to us about what Spayr is.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm Pierre. I'm the CTO of Spayr. So this is a financial well-being startup. So we founded it a year and a half ago, and we are based in Paris and Brittany. So for me, I was trained as a research engineer actually in aeronautics, but I worked for 4 years as a technical product manager, mostly in banks and insurance companies. And then I launched an agency in 2019 to help big corporations use AI in their workflows. Then I wanted to pursue a career in web, so I did a bit of freelancing, and that's the moment where Louis, so one of my co-founders, approached me with the CTO position at Spayr. And this is when the project really started. So as I said, a year and a half ago. So Spayr, we're an on-demand salary solution at first. We have other features, but we mean to allow workers to request a part of the salary before the end of the month, and we call that salary on demand. So what we see in French in the landing page that Albane is sharing. There are many advantages to that. First, for the payroll teams. So our customers are, of course, the employers. So they spend less time on unnecessary tasks because, it's possible in France to have a salary on demand, but it's quite difficult actually, because it requires a lot of tasks to cross-check if it's possible to have to provide the employee with the salary he asked for and a lot of stuff like that. For the employees, it's a new social advantage that we provide, and it helps them make ends meet actually at the end of the month, because sometimes in France, you're paid once a month, and can be quite difficult to manage your finances. And finally, it stimulates the company's activity, because we see in our customers that it's quite easy for them to recruit. It's easier with Spayr than without Spayr. We also provide financial care, actually, as you could see, maybe in the health industry. So mainly coaching, financial coaching for our user through the app. In terms of metrics, Spayr, so we have 6 customers, which are quite happy with our solution. And in terms of usage, we are happy with that too, because 50% of the employees of our customers use the app monthly to have the salary on demand. And they check our services, so salary on demand, but also financial coaches, I'm sorry, on a daily basis. So that's quite good.
Great. Well, I mean, I think it's good to finally see a financial startup that actually take care of customer well-being and not only take your money. So that's a
That's the
great.
objective,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you say that many employees check your services daily on the app. I mean, that's amazing. Are they like any favorite feature that customer love and they use all the time? Like, what is the key
Yeah.
thing that make them come back every day?
That's quite funny because the main feature is salary on demand. So with our trackers, we see that, and we didn't know about that in the beginning, and it wasn't in the plan. But we see that they also use our app to see if their employer is knows how much time they worked actually in the month, because our payroll solution is based on how many hours they worked in the current month.
Okay.
So they check that actually every day. They don't make a demand for a down payment for a down payment or anything, but they actually check the amount they have every day. So
Okay.
that's the main feature they use, and of course the coaches, because it's a chat with a coach. So the first there's a call and then it's a chat. They use it's quite it's slowly becoming the main feature actually. So it's quite
Okay.
funny.
And the chat is available for them to use
Yeah.
like anytime they need it. Okay.
Yeah, whenever they want, they can access the app, actually, iOS, Android, anything you like, and they can chat. It's 24/7. Our financial coaches, so we have two kind of financial coaches. We have those who help our users save money, maybe looking at their subscriptions, maybe the insurance contracts that they have, and we take care afterwards of changing those so that they save money. And there's also another service of coaches for people who are really in I would say a bad situation financially, and it's more of it's not a chat, it's actually an in-person meeting that we provide in different cities in Paris. And for that we aim to actually give it to all our users, but since it's an in-person meeting, it's quite difficult for all our users all across France to access that. So this is the next big step, I would say.
Wow. Well, thanks for this great introduction. Well, I also know that you've been using Qovery for about 6 months now, I think,
Yeah,
and that you are managing multiple environments on Kubernetes. Now, Spayr was founded about a year and a half ago.
yeah.
Do you want to tell us more about what were you using before Qovery and like why the change?
Yeah. So at first, we need to keep in mind that before that, I was working machine learning, so I was already using many AWS services. So when we began actually building our first prototype and also the MVP, we were using Heroku, as many startup in France and all over the world, I think, do. And our first version of our MVP was released using Heroku. So for the API, our dashboard, and some other demo apps that we had for prototyping. But the problem is that once we got into our first proof of concept with our first customer, um, I quickly became frustrated with the use of Heroku, because I wasn't able to know actually what I was using, how I was using it, or maybe have a great configuration that I wanted to choose. Mainly, I didn't know at first where my data was stored. You need to create a ticket on Heroku site. So this was kind of a black box problem. It's a great solution, but you don't know what happens in there. And also it was a pain point because we're talking about finances. We aim to be a startup with a social impact, so we have to know and manage all of those and know where the data is and everything. So this black box was quite frustrating. So this is why we had three main objectives to migrate those, because it was quite frustrating. First, with this migration and the changing where we deploy and how we deploy our solutions, there was three main objectives. So we wanted to lower to the most the time between an idea for a feature and the release to our customer. Of course, this is how you grow actually. Create a great developer experience. We already had a development workflow that was working great, but always improve for recruitment sakes, of course. And also, we wanted to use tools that will help us scale easily with a small team, because we didn't have a DevOps engineer at Spayr, and we don't have it now. So we chose, after a bit of work and some calls, we choose a combination of several tools. So for scalability, of course, Kubernetes. We wanted to use that because it's a good solution for scalability, but quite scary to implement. Actually, for the other objective, which was time to consumer, actually wanted to use a developer-friendly DevOps platform, such as we were using before, but which would be easy and transparent about the configuration, to know what we were using and how to use it. And the third objective was for a developer experience, because we already have a development workflow. We didn't want the solution that we would use to define how we work. We wanted something that would integrate easily in our way of working. This is why we chose Qovery. No surprise there. The only concern that we had about this was, of course, pricing. And we had some help. We could talk about it later when we talk about the implementation of Qovery at Spayr. But it was quickly out of the way, because we ran some workshops with Morgan and Romaric to better understand our business requirements and what it would mean in terms of deployment and the scalability and the infrastructure that we would need. So this is how the Qovery, I would say, journey began with Spayr.
Did you try like any other platform other than Heroku on the way before, or you
No,
stumbled
it was
across us?
it was quite quick, the decision, because since we had those objectives, actually it ticked all the boxes. So I didn't want to change. And the other, I didn't test those, but of course I made some calls to figure out if there were the good solutions for us. But the problem is that I found that it was the same problem all over again, that black box problem. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to know with other platforms what I was using actually.
Yeah, you needed something that I think Heroku is good when you don't want to manage anything and you just want
Yeah,
to deploy and done. And but if you want to know more, if you want to do more in terms of resources,
yeah.
you need
Maybe the other
something.
problem is that you have to adapt to the way of the way this platform works actually, and it was
Yeah.
quite a problem for us.
But yeah, that's great to know that you found the right platform almost straight away after Heroku. Maybe now you can tell us a bit more about, the whole process of arriving with Qovery, what happened, how was the migration,
Yeah.
all of these kind of things.
So how it went? So we decided, as I said early on, to move to AWS on our own end with a Qovery, of course. It was, I think, mid-February, so yeah, that is 6 months actually, and it was pretty great. We had a call with Romaric and Morgan to figure out, as I said, to address the concerns that we had about pricing. Then I just wanted to move all the, I would say, dev environment and staging environment that we have, even though we don't use staging anymore, to Qovery, so that the developers that work with us, so freelancers or the junior developers that we have, can be used to Qovery early on. So that's what we did, actually. The first meeting, we created our first cluster and our first environment, 30 minutes tops, I think. Then I just implemented the preview environments in a day. So I was able to replace the staging environment that we had in the first place, which was quite difficult to manage because, as you might know, you have to keep a record of who's using it and everything. So I really wanted to take advantage of preview environments right away. So I did that, and maybe in a day. And then moving all our environments for the API, our dashboard. We had a demo app at that time. So it was a PWA. All of that, maybe 1 or 2 days. I wanted to wait a bit to migrate our production environment from Heroku to Qovery, but actually, I had some time on the same weekend, and I decided actually to do it. And there was the documentation for that, so I didn't need Qovery support to do the migration. I just did a call with Romaric actually to figure out if I had done it in a good way. So it was all great. So I think maybe in 2 weeks it was done, actually.
Nice.
And I canceled the subscription right away because it was all good.
That's great. That's great to know. When you started, like, did you have any specific settings in mind, or were you guided to some other setting through discussion with Romaric and Morgan, for example?
I had more of so as I said, we went from the business requirements to the settings, actually. So yeah, there was the actual requirements that we had were about scalability. So be efficient in terms of cost, of course, because at that time we didn't have a lot of users. But in our business, the thing is that if you onboard a client, so actually at the moment we are onboarding clients where you triple your number of users overnight, and that's quite challenging. So there was some kind of equilibrium to have between be cost effective with the number of users that we have, but have settings that allow us to have infrastructure that scales if we have a problem, and not depend on a DevOps engineer to work on that full time. So that was the main requirement, and I think that was it, actually. And other than that, maybe, in our development workflow, I really wanted the solution to limit the number of actions that would need to be done by the developers to work and follow all the deployment that we have, even for preview environment. So there was some settings about that, but it's the same, actually. There was documentation for that, the Slack integration, GitHub Actions, and GitHub, actually. So
Nice.
that was it.
You've been talking about quite a few features we actually have on Qovery. Is there like one feature that made you move to Qovery, like one feature that you use very often and one that is kind of essential to you?
Yeah, preview environments. I talk a lot about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I brag about it, actually, with my coworkers from other companies. But yeah, because thanks to that, actually, so you have preview environments, also the integration with the tool that we already use, so Linear for our Kanban board, GitHub Actions, and GitHub for our code. The thing is that thanks to preview environment and the automatic deployment once you open a pull request, our junior developers and also freelancers are completely independent. on when they work. They have all the environment that they use, which is exactly the same as the prod environment, and they are just I just have to tell them that they need to implement that. So we do some kind of technical review to see if all goes well, and afterwards I don't have to manage anything. Uh, and it's quite good because I have some time to do other things, but
Yeah.
also the team is really effective thanks to that, because they are really independent on bringing value. And I know, since it's a preview environment, that if it works on that environment, I can sleep well and just merge into prod, and all will
Without
go.
any worries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nice. Well, you were talking just before about linear integration, for example.
Yeah,
Um, and I know you have a pretty cool setting. Um, do you mind actually showing us kind of
yeah,
what's your setup?
yeah.
And nice.
So that will be here. Just wait a second. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh,
So, for demo's sake, so I was working today on two issues on Qovery. So it's our Kanban board, and it's only my issues. So currently I'm working. So we have a request from a customer. It was Monday, I think. This customer actually is a bit challenging because there are four companies. So there's an holding company and three subsidiaries, and they need us to have one instance of the dashboard. So what I did, so to have all their information about all the companies in one dashboard and be able to filter and everything. So quite challenging, actually. So I created those two issues, actually. So one in the dashboard, one in the MPI, apply holding company, whatever. The thing is that since we use Linear here, which is a pretty great product actually, we have the integration, of course, with GitHub to have all the issues move depending on the pull request status. So here, let me show you maybe for the dashboard. Yeah, this pull request that we had. And what is actually pretty cool is that once you open that pull request, any developer, and this is why I told you that I really like that feature, is that you have right away the preview environment and everything you need to begin testing in a prod environment, actually. So here I just have to open, and right away it's automatically deployed, and I can work on that. I can request my database with a SQL client if I want, and everything is linked. It is actually exactly the same as the production environment, and it's also in its own cluster. So for cost killing sake, it's pretty good, actually. So this is what we have actually at Spayr, and it's I think the most. There are a lot of things. There's the Slack integration that I love, and other stuff. But this one is pretty great because it's allowed us to really bring values to our customer quite efficiently. Here I think I will deploy this new feature tonight, so our customer will be pretty happy about that, I think.
yeah, great. I mean, amazing. It is really cool to see other people's setup because obviously we do use Qovery at Qovery, but it's only us. So it's a bit boring to see all the time what we do. It's better to see actually what other people do is a bit more exciting.
Yeah.
But well, enough speaking about Qovery. Well, thank you so much first for the demo and showing us everything and all those cool words. But from what I've seen, you have done quite a lot since the start of Spare. But you might want to share like what the
Yeah.
future look like
Ah.
for Spare.
So yeah, for the future. So at the moment, our customer are mainly restaurant chains or in hospitality. So it's planning-based businesses. What we were going to do in the next month is first we're going to iterate on our core features, so salary on demand, to offer it to other type of businesses. So mainly we're looking at healthcare and the service industry, and maybe white collars. But also we are working on other features. Mainly, we want our existing customers to have new features, of course, and they are helping us actually designing those. So we have two restaurant chains that are actually using prototypes of new products, and those new features. The main goal is to provide a more gamified experience to financial wellness, and not only just coaching and salary on demand, so that everything is actually linked. So a platform for financial wellness. Um, in terms of timeline, I think for those new feature, and of course iteration on the core feature will go on and on forever. But for this also feature, we plan to finish the design and development phase in 2022 and release it to all our customers in the first month of 2023.
So yeah, so quite
Um,
yeah. Yeah, we've been talking quite a lot about tech, and I mean, as a CTO, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's next on the tech side as
yeah.
well.
So as all maybe may understand, I think DevOps for our web platform is I'm quite happy with that. I'm not happy with the DevOps that we have. So the pipeline that we have for mobile, it's quite challenging to do that. So that would be the next big subject for us. So to have a proper development workflow for our front-end engineer in the future. So that's the first thing. The deadline for that is by the end of the year. It's quite challenging, and we want to do that because it slows us down sometimes. Other thing would be small migration to TypeScript for our front-end tools. I really want to do that, and actually the deadlines are the same. There's a big maybe redo on our backend that I want to make that we may do right away. We are already working on it because we have a lot of modules in our app that address, I would say, completely different business requirements. And for now, it's not a monolith, but um, it looks like it, and I think there's some changes to do for, of course, scalability and maybe being able to bring value faster to our customers. So that could be a change of framework. For now, it's Rails in API mode. It could be to change to microservices, and we are already working on that for our integration module, because the main challenge that we have is to integrate to different HR solutions or time tracking solutions for our customers. So that would be the big subject. And of course, we would love to fine tune, as always, developer experience. So that's not on the tech side, that's more of a management thing. But we want to keep improving our workflow so that our developers and our technical team is is really efficient, and they're really happy to work at Spayr, which is already the case, but we want to improve that, and
Nice.
this is why we recruit now.
Okay, so nice. I mean, exciting to know that you are recruiting at the moment. What would you say that is the best perk of working at Spare? Like, what is your favorite thing?
Oh, our favorite thing is I think what our developers and our tech team really like right now is to being actually close to the sales representative, meaning that they are really close to. There's no product manager at Spare. It's a choice. I always talk about product engineers, and they love not to be just some code wrangling monkeys that have issues coming their way just develop. So they are asked to understand what the business is. It's quite easy because it touches everyone. So financial wellness is a subject for everyone, but they really like that. And also the fact that, like most companies, but it's quite good, we are completely full remote. You can work wherever you want, whenever you want, and it's a good thing. And also the tools that we use. I always want them to be the best they can, and this is why we have several. We put into place two things mainly. So we are working on a tech blog actually. So we are already writing articles that we give to our at Station F, so our incubator, but also for friends that use the same the same tech stack. But we aim to release actually those articles. So we are working on them so that they can be released directly in our landing page. So kind of an engineering blog. So they have to do that every Friday now. They have to work on that, and it's pretty great for them because they learn new skills, and that's quite good. And we also have open source Fridays, which is actually so every 2 weeks it's a blog, and the other 2 weeks it would be open source Fridays, which is the main idea is that we use some tools. We need to discover new tools, good practices, and all of those, and they just choose a new framework or an open source project which is interesting. If they want to contribute, they do, and if they want to learn something new, they do. And actually, it brings a lot of ideas in our technical breakdown that we do, and it's also a good point for them, which make them stay at Spayr.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think one of the advantage as well of working in tech is you always learn, but to always learn, you need to have some time to actually learn.
Yeah.
And that's amazing that you put in place some time for that. So yeah, definitely advantage, and the remote part as well. I'm sure you will attract lots of people with this because a lot of people want to work from
Yeah,
home and
whatever they
remotely.
want.
For sure, yes, I can relate to that because we have it at Qovery as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you so much for everything. We have few minutes, not too many, but few minutes for some question. I don't know if in the chat you do have some question. Otherwise, Pierre, I don't know if there are something that you forgot to mention that you want to add.
No, maybe a bit of advice on what I would do differently. I wouldn't use Qovery earlier, actually. And that's it. I think we can finish on that.
Thank you. But yeah, maybe I mean I do have some questions.
Oh,
Uh, no, but especially one like what surprised you the most when you started using Qovery? It can either be good or bad.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I used Qovery, I was kind of reading a lot about Kubernetes. It was quite interesting. It was not something that I was confident in using myself because actually it was a time where honeypot.io released their documentary on Kubernetes, and I was looking into it, and I found it pretty complex to implement. And when I started using Qovery, I was like, okay, the UX is great, everything is good, so it's a good surprise. But I think I was a bit scared to not actually understand what was going on. And I don't know how you guys did it, but even in the logs, I quite fastly understood what was going on and how it was deployed and everything. So that was a good surprise. Um, and I think that's it actually.
Nice.
Um,
Okay, I mean, good to know we are putting a lot of work into the logs, and there is still work to do, but it's getting better. But yeah, thank you for the feedback. Um, well, we went a bit over time. but that's okay. If there are more questions, don't hesitate to put them into the chat because we will keep a look on the chat even after the live. And otherwise, I will probably add as well something in the chat. There is one question. Okay, sorry. So before we stop, so yeah, the question is, what would be the advice for any CTO or tech leads who are in the same phase as you on the technical challenge, migration, implementing a new solution?
I'm yeah. I changed philosophy about one thing, and it's mostly about DevOps. I was used to working with teams that were struggling with deploying the solution quite fast in a scalable way. I was used to that, and I didn't think that was a problem actually. But now, since I made the change and I made the move to that type of workflow for deploying, I would say that it's the most important, because in the first stages of a startup or any business, you really have to iterate fast, and most of the work is actually designing and developing. It should not be deploying. So maybe put a big focus on that, and provide the team, or even if you work alone, provide yourself actually with the tool to be confident that once you've done a demo, everything works, everyone is happy with the solution that you created, just release it, and not spend several hours to figure out why it's not releasing, why you cannot actually save some time for your customers. And I think that's the main advice I would give. Focus on that.
We will keep it. Thanks. But yeah, I think otherwise that's it. I mean, thank you again so much for joining us today and taking some of your precious time. And yeah, we will just add a note, I think, on the comments, maybe with like a place where some people can send their CV or something like this if they
Of
join,
course.
or
Yeah,
like
we are
additional
two.
information.
We have 2 job offers at the moment, and I will send them to you actually.
Perfect. Well, that's it. And otherwise, yeah, if you have any question, just put them on the chat or on the forum or anywhere. And thank you so much for your time. And we will see you soon for another live. Thanks.
Thanks.